We are live. Joined by Randy from Backsports Page and M from Level 1 Games. Let's get this show started, why don't we?
Agility from the champion. Oh, deep six! That could be it. Delivers this deep six.
Good evening, everybody. Randy M., thank you for joining me this evening.
Wayne,
thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us, as always, good sir.
It is an honor.
And a privilege, sir.
Let's get this party started.
We are in week 11, wrapping up week 11. This is episode 21. How about that, guys?
Yeah, we're past 20. Awesome.
Came a little quick. Yeah, absolutely.
We're legally allowed to drink. We're 21. We're legally allowed to drink.
In this country, at least.
Yeah, in this country.
We're coming off the heels of AEW Fyterfest that took place last night. Pretty decent show. I have no complaints once again for part 2 of Fyterfest. I was pretty well entertained. Pretty good week of wrestling overall between both NXT and AEW. But tonight we'll be talking about AEW Fyterfest. And let's get it started right away. We had the tag team match of Private Party versus Kenny Omega and Hangman Page for the AEW tag team titles. Cassidy with a cool middle rope springboard. I like his athleticism. His partner looked much better. It looks like he is moving quicker, and he's looking a little healthier, and it looks like the rust is coming off compared to what it was about a month ago. Hangman and Omega eventually with the win, with the last call. Pretty good action. Not bad to start off the show. What did you guys think of that?
Well, for the second straight week, Hangman and Kenny looked great. It was nice to have another title match from them, especially since we were short one title match with no Brian Cage and Jon Moxley. And I got to tell you one thing that was very, very apparent. I know they're advancing the storyline with Adam Page and Kenny, and there's going to be a turn somewhere. But I think this was the most cohesive I've seen this team look. I thought they were right on spot with each other. I thought they were very, very good. Private Party, they were a little sloppy, but you know what? They were much better tonight than they've been over the last couple weeks. I thought last week Private Party was phenomenal. This week is the same. I really enjoyed the opening match. You couldn't ask more from an opening match. Non-stop action. And this is what tag team wrestling is. When you turn on tag team wrestling with AEW, no matter what, you're not going to be disappointed. You have to try really hard not to have a good tag team match in AEW. I had no problem with this as the opener of the show. I like Omega and Page. I know we keep saying on this show that I'm ready for Kenny Omega to move on to new things, but they're still a fun tag team to watch. And eventually when they do that breakup, it'll be time for it. But right now as a team, they're good. I have no problem with it.
It was a good match, and like you said, Private Party looked a lot crisper in this one. I mean, there were still a couple of things that could have been shined up a little bit, but overall, I can overlook a lot of it. And it was a very fun match, nonstop action. But my only nitpick is what you just said. It was just a match. And this is a weird thing coming from me because normally I like more of the in-ring action than the storytelling, but this is really killing me. And as you guys know, there was no progression in that. We left it off last week where everyone was arguing about beer. And then this week, it's like, we're a great tag team again. And I get it, and I see where it's going. I wanted a little bit of a nugget this week, too, and I was just disappointed we didn't get it. But overall, solid match. Great way to start a great show. I think that the show really stood up to the whole pay-per-view feel. And this was a great way to start it and to get me excited for the rest.
It's clearly evident that AEW's strengths right now is tag team wrestling. Every match every AEW tag team match that's put on, right now. AEW can't go wrong.
Yeah, insane.
It's not even the fact that they can't go wrong. It's they're putting the right teams together. Also, Private Party was very, very crisp before the pandemic started. They had a nice win in the tournament against the Young Bucks, and even when they went against Proud and Powerful in the tribute match, that too was magnificent. I think it comes down to timing. And look, Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page are consummate professionals. They're fun to watch as a team because everyone's waiting for that turn. I know M, I think it's going to happen on Christmas for M. I think that's when it's really going to happen. But I think if you really, really, really look at the tag team division for AEW, top to bottom, it's funny. We always talk about it. We always never bring up the Dark Order either. Dark Order is a good team too.
Oh, we will later.
Yeah, but I'm just making the point of right. We don't really bring them up that often. They're stacked. They're stacked as the tag team division, and that's why it's a shame. I don't want to say it's a shame, but there's 2 single stars right now holding the tag team belts, while you have a bunch of tag teams sort of waiting for the progression of this whole thing to move on, and so they'll have a crack at it.
Exactly, and who knows? I mean, with the way things are looking, I hear rumors about another 4 horsemen with Page and FTR. So he might end up in another team, but it's definitely time for them to start thinking about dropping it. I'm hoping by All Out, we finally have some type of conclusion to this storyline and we get the payoff we've been waiting for. Because I don't think I'd like to wait till February to see it.
They want fans in the arena.
Randy's right. They want fans in the arena, but AEW wants you to wait, and.
Yeah, apparently they like to see me lose my.
They know we've been talking about it. Tony Khan, he's been watching every single week. They know you've been talking about it and that you want it. And as soon as you stop talking about it,
exactly when I lose interest,
I'm gonna pull the trigger.
Watch when I lose interest. That's when he'll be like, "Aha, I got him," and then he'll pull the trigger.
Dear M, please be patient. Love Tony.
Okay. Exactly. And knowing Tony, because he watches everything, man. He probably is watching this. Hi, Tony.
Let me
Hi, Tony.
How awesome did Cassidy look in this match?
He looks great, man. He doesn't look like he has any ring rust. And it's just those guys, honestly, they're the athleticism that they exude. It's like they showed rust in the last couple of weeks, but here they didn't really look rusty, in all honesty. I mean, they might have missed time to move here or there, but overall they were pretty crisp.
They're improving week by week from what I've noticed. That rust is slowly coming off and they're getting healthy.
And that's what I've been saying is like you work the rust off by going out there and doing. You got to go out there and wrestle. And that's the only way you're going to get back into that groove. So it's great to see them progress back to where they were. Like I said, they're not 100% there, but I'd say they're 80, 85% there. I think they just have to have a couple matches more, and we'll see them where they were pre pandemic.
Guys, they debuted back in 2015. They're still very young.
Oh, they're very young, very young.
They're very young. Their best wrestling is still ahead of them.
Oh, yeah, but they looked great, is what we're saying.
Yeah,
and they are the future of tag team wrestling. There, they are being groomed.
Oh yeah, and not to mention we can't forget the fact that Matt Hardy is there,
is with them, right?
With them and kind of mentoring them, so they have something planted as far as the storyline goes, maybe down the road, maybe towards the end of the year. It's almost like a hint that quite possibly eventually they're going to push Private Party to a tag team main event scene.
Although I have one nitpick, and you guys will laugh, but I like their original song, man. I don't like this new one. I don't like the new entrance.
I didn't even know that. Oh, yes. Okay.
You see like the weird face. I mean, that's the face you have way too much to drink and you wake up the next day and you're like, what the hell? That's like that type of nightmarish face. And it comes up and it's like Private Party. I don't want to. That's not what I think of when I think of a Private Party, man. It's like clean that up a little.
Moving on. We had Lance Archer versus Joey Janela this week. So last week we saw them brawling in a crowd leading up to the match that we had last night. They were brawling back and forth. So last night was a good back and forth match that they had. Archer with the blackout through the table, and then soon after that gets the win. Archer looked great. Janela didn't get buried too much. He got some offense in there. So it was a little back and forth going on, which I liked. Archer shined once again. What'd you guys think of this?
I thought Janela came out looking like the real winner in this entire thing because he got a lot more offense than we thought he was going to get, because I thought Archer was going to come out. He'd probably get a couple punches against the chest, and then that would be the end of the bad boy. But you know what? Janela looked good. I thought it designed everything it needed to. You actually made you believe that Janela might be able to steal victory over Archer, which we all know at the end of the day he wasn't going to.
Yeah.
But it gave you that little feeling like, oh, he might pull this off. Like the Archer piss somebody off that he's going to job to Janela, and then you're like, oh, wait, no, never mind. We're back to normal. We're good. And it would not be a Joey Janela loss unless he goes through a table. So that's just pretty much how he got.
But not only
awkwardly go through a table.
Yeah, not only did he go through that table, like Archer came down and rammed his head into the table repeatedly, just to kind of hammer it in. Like, you just went through this table. It's insane. But you know what's funny is, like, Archer came out carrying Sonny Kiss. Apparently, he beat him up in the back, brought him out. It's like, I got your tag partner right here. Like, this is how much you mean that I'm just gonna beat up your tag partner and bring him to the ring so you can see what I did back there. I thought that was kind of cool, and he just like threw him down. It's like a sack of potatoes. It was great. I mean, eventually he recovered enough to hit him with a 450 splash. Sonny Kiss, very athletic, man. Those Jersey boys.
Yes, he can work.
He can work, man. And I'm looking forward to that team. And again, that's one thing that we're seeing is that they have a knack for putting these guys together that just mesh well. And I think that Joey and what is it, the Concrete Rose will do very well together. So I like the whole Miami Vice vignettes that we're getting as well. So I'm excited about that. But this was a solid match. And like you said, it was competitive enough to suspend our belief, because we all know, as much as I like Joey, he wasn't winning this one. But
hell no.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
So we
knew that.
We knew from the get. It was like Lance is gonna like destroy him. I mean, he pretty much destroyed him at the end, but it was competitive enough that we suspended belief, and we're like, can he? And I say this a lot. Can he pull it out? Maybe one day we're gonna see one of those upset victories.
Moving on, we got an announcement by Taz. Taz with a huge announcement. So that's what it was hyped up to be. Okay. So I'm thinking it maybe had something to do with next week's championship match. And it kind of did. But so he has an item in his hands. We see that it's covered in a black felt cloth. He goes on to say it's what he created years ago. It's what he bled and sweat for. So then he goes ahead and he unveils what he created years ago, and that is the FTW Championship belt. It had gold-plated orange colors, quite possibly. It looked better than the TNT title, but at least for now, that unfinished belt is still under construction. But yeah, so we see Taz crown Brian Cage with the FTW belts. So Brian Cage is the new FTW champion. Taz his own created a championship belt. What did you guys think of this? I felt Brian Cage got a nice little rub here. And Taz cut an amazing promo. But this is all you guys. What did you guys think?
Well, Wayne Fest, I have to tell you that I honestly felt like they pretty much said, hey, Cage, you're not going to win next week, but you're still going to have a belt. And I honestly think at the end of the day, I again, another knocked out of the park promo by Taz. It's intriguing to see if they're going to make this a real title belt or not. But for ECW fans, we're probably just sitting there going, "It's there! Oh my God, it lives! It lives!" I had no problem with the segment. I thought it was a little overhyped. It's going to change the face of AEW. I don't think it changed the face of AEW, but it was definitely a cool segment and another great promo by Taz.
You know what? I have to play devil's advocate because, yeah, I have to. It's my
I'll
job.
have to play devil's advocate next on that. Sure.
So, was it overhyped? It really depends on what they do, and we have to wait and see. Because as you saw, listen, I was a fan of ECW. I wasn't a hardcore fan. That would go to my good friend Carlos, who was constantly going to their shows. I wasn't. But I watched it enough that I saw the FTW belt. And as soon as I saw Taz come out with something that looked like a title belt in his hand, I was like, could it be? Could it be the FTW belt? The same belt that Bam Bam and him fought over in that iconic match where they went through the stage? It brought all of that rushing back. All right. That was a hell of a nostalgia trip. And then to give it to him, you are the FTW champ. I'm telling you, they're gonna start defending it. And one of the things that intrigued me was something my son said last night, because he wasn't happy that Taz is doing all the talking for Brian Cage. And it looks to me, because I at some point they mentioned this on broadcast, is that Taz is pretty much telling what Cage should do. At one point, he's beating Moxley in the parking lot. But even when Taz says, hey, stop, he's had enough, Brian Cage doesn't stop. He puts him through a car window. So something tells me that eventually it's going to get to the point where Taz has no control over the machine anymore. He's going to go on his own eventually, but he's getting that rub right now. And it's getting me excited, man. As a fan and as a fan of Taz, I'm looking forward to this.
I'm interested. You brought up a very interesting point, because if they wanted to, this is how they could tie Darby Allin back into the story, because maybe Darby Allin, after all, will join up with Taz once there's a kind of a split there between Taz and Brian Cage. That could actually make sense.
Yeah, I was analyzing it yesterday, and that's one of the possible angles that they can go with, and it'd be an intriguing one, because Taz came up to him in the beginning to Darby, and he was like, hey, listen, I got some pointers, and Darby just shunned them away. Now, after having this machine, this specimen of a man that would make Vince McMahon drool, like he would destroy everybody in front of him, and Taz won't be able to control that for long. You can tell. At least I think that. Like that's the way that they're gonna go. That Taz is gonna have the reins over him, and eventually the dude's just gonna be like, I can't be controlled, man. I'm the FTW champion. Ain't nobody higher than me, and he's just gonna roll with it. At least that's my hope.
But also, I still look at this as for next week. I still saying, okay, he's got the FTW championship. He's not beating Moxley next week.
No, definitely he ain't beating him. But again, did we ever think he was going to beat him in the first place?
Probably not.
Yeah, exactly. So whether he's the FTW champion or not, but from what I hear on reports online, that they really strapped a rocket to his back. So even if he loses to Moxley next week, his story's not done, and he's going to get higher. So
they're going to do what they did with Brody Lee. Like, yes, Moxley beat Brody Lee, but they made Brody Lee still look very strong against him.
Exactly. So he's going to look like a monster. Moxley's going to eke it out.
Look where Brody Lee is now.
Yeah. Listen, I still see a lot of potential that Brody Lee brings.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited, even with the simple story that he has going on with Colt Cabana. I think is going to be like
boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, I think that's going to lead to something bigger eventually, and I'm really excited about it. So,
moving on, we have a couple viewers watching tonight, so feel free to leave your comments and opinions in the chat if you would like. We'd love to hear your thoughts and interact with you as we are live. So the next thing that we're going to cover is the Young Bucks and the FTR versus Lucha Bros and the Butcher and the Blade. I was looking forward to this for a number of weeks since they announced it. We see Matt Jackson super kicked Cash Wheeler on accident, but nothing really became of it. There was no dissension afterwards, which I thought was kind of weird. And it was a handshake at the end. But anyway, moving on, Matt Jackson distracted from behind. Lucha Bros put Matt Jackson in the LP driver for the win. Great match, nonstop. Action all throughout the match. What did you guys think of this? This is probably one of my favorite matches of the night.
Definitely.
I think that I texted M right after. I'm like, and the show was stolen.
Yeah.
Look, you knew this was going to be the match of the night. You have three great teams and the Butcher and the Blade. So look, at the end of the day, like, you know what the Bucks are bringing to the table when they fight the the Lucha Brothers.
Yeah, exactly. Get it right.
Yeah. when the Bucks fight the Lucha Brothers, you know what you're getting all the time. If you don't get at least a 4.5-star match, they're not trying. So it's at the end of the day, it's FTR in there who not only do you want to see them against the Bucks, but I also want to see them against the Lucha Brothers. And then you throw Butcher and the Blade in. Look, this is exactly what you wanted to watch. If you want to be on the edge of your seat, knowing that these 8 guys are going to give you their all. Only thing missing was the bunny. But all at the end of the day, I thought this was the show stealing match. I thought it's everything you want to watch when you're watching pro wrestling. As I felt this way after I watched Double or Nothing last year, that the Young Bucks versus the Lucha Brothers is everything that's good about pro wrestling, and this match makes me feel the same way.
See, I wouldn't go and say everything that's good in wrestling because this is just a different style of wrestling. There's so many. But was this an incredible match? Absolutely. And all I have to say is Canadian Destroyer to the outside to make my point.
Oh, wow. That was a good one.
Was insane.
That was awesome.
But most of what they did was insane. Though that match made my night, and this is exactly why I tuned in, and this is why I continue to tune in. And the Lucha Brothers were sorely they were missing throughout this pandemic, man. That we needed them back here, and I am so happy that they're back with the Cero Miedo, dude. It's great, man. And this is exactly what we need. This is exactly what I want to see every week. I want to see high-octane matches like this. Like I said, is it the pinnacle of pro wrestling? That could be debated. Is it amazing and great and worthwhile? Hell yeah, because this is what you take to your friends who don't watch wrestling, and you go, hey, check this out. You don't respect wrestling, but can your MMA fighters do this? And then you see their blank face, and then they're going, yeah, go watch MMA. I'll watch pro wrestling. Yeah,
I can't argue that.
Yeah, exactly.
Heel M has returned, ladies and gentlemen. Heel M.
I have to be a heel, but you know what?
You're gonna have to change your name on the bottom.
Yeah, I might have to. Yeah, I'm gonna have to heel M.
Swole. We mentioned it during the pre-show. Well, not a pre-show, but before we hopped on. Swole denied access into the arena as she found out once she got there, she was suspended as a result of throwing Britt Baker into the trash. And just kind of pretty much like stalking her the past couple of weeks. Before we move on, what did you guys think of this segment? I thought it was pretty interesting. I guess she'll be out for a week or two.
That's what it looks like.
Bad night for the Cole Baker combination on Wednesday night. If you look at for Mr. Adam Cole and his beautiful young lady, I'll tell you something. Britt Baker has done such a good job, and she's making that women's division for her stuff. She's gotten so much better, making it entertaining. And she actually has the merch now that says role model on it, which makes it even better. Wayne, I was going to get you that shirt that said role model on it.
I don't know if you noticed, but Randy is officially on the Britt Baker bandwagon.
Yeah, he is, man. And
we've seen this months ago.
Yep. That's the thing, coming. Is that we saw her get better and better. And the thing is that first heel turn when she was on the Jericho cruise ship, everybody like crapped on her. And I said, hey, guys, it was freezing. You could see her shivering. Give her time. And the next week, instantly got better. And the week after, better than that. And it's just been rolling, man, and rolling
and
with the role model. What can I say?
Well, listen,
Hey,
maybe
can I-
she'll rethink her wrestling attire the next time. Maybe no. In all seriousness, you know, she could probably throw on some pants instead of the shorts.
Yeah.
You know, move it
Yeah,
on.
From what
can
I
I tell
heard.
you though?
Yeah.
Can I tell you though? I'm sorry, but I think her being hurt has helped her personality come through even more.
Yes,
Because she's showing him in a wheelchair, and like she was starting to get over a little bit more while she was wrestling. But her being hurt, but being there and sitting in the truck,
pass the notes to Tony.
Boom.
I love that.
To me, that's what sells me. And you know what? I'm sitting there going, you're winning people over. You won me over as a heel, and what's going to end up happening is when the fans come back, her heel persona is going to go so high where it's going to turn her babyface.
But that's
Eventually.
what she has to avoid. Do not be such a great heel that the people turn you face.
You don't think that's not going to happen to MJF eventually?
He is too good of a heel for that to happen, as you can tell. Do I need to remind you of the whole Cody whipping incident? I'm a heel.
Which is going to come back, by the way.
But my thing is, I'm a heel, and even I was like, okay, you went a little too far. Like, I cannot sanction this, dude. You're whipping a grown man.
You and I were sitting there watching that, and all of a sudden you hear him goes, this might be a little much.
Yeah, I'm like, I really thought with all my heart that they were going to find a way to go around it. Like, I said, you can whip me, but XYZ happened, and I didn't get whipped. The dude got whipped 10 times on TV. As hard, he gave it to Wardlow. He gave one free to Wardlow. That was insane. Again, that's not happening with MJF.
And if you ever want to see how big of a heel MJF is, go log on to cameo.com and look up MJF. And he openly admits the only reason why he's on Cameo was because he was bored during the pandemic. One person paid them out, and he charged more money than everybody else to do a Cameo. And one person paid it, and he ripped the guy apart. You have to pay. You pay MJF to get ripped apart.
Yep, yeah. That's a heel, bro. That's a grade A heel. No one better at the moment.
So we get Nyla Rose. We won't talk much about this one, but we get Nyla Rose in a squash match against Kenzie Page and Kylan King. But the whole point of this segment is to build her up again towards another title match. Eventually, we know that is coming. We have Nyla announces she will have a manager. This is interesting. She is going to have a manager by her side. I guess maybe in a week or two, that manager will be introduced. But the whole purpose of that is to ensure that she wins back that AEW Women's title from Shida and back on top again. Any thoughts on this before we move on?
I have a guess on who it is.
Don't keep us guessing.
I think it's Vicky Guerrero.
Oh God, no.
You know why?
I don't want to see her on camera.
Why?
Because that heel heat for Nyla Rose is going to go to Vicky.
That's okay. I love Vicky.
I think it's a good guess. She's been around. She has openly admitted that she's going to start working with AEW, so I think it fits perfectly in that role. I think Vicky Guerrero's coming.
I spent the whole night thinking about this, and you know what? That makes so much sense, man. And what is it? It's not excuse me anymore. It's are you kidding me, right? It's are you kidding me?
Oh, I don't want to hear that voice.
I am so.
I heard that voice for 10 years. I don't want to hear it again. It's ridiculous.
I love Vicky. She's so good. I'm in the Vicky camp.
In real life, she is a really nice person, though.
The greatest person.
I got a chance to say hi to her at the Royal Rumble 2011 from a distance. Very nice. Acknowledged me. Very, very pleasant in public. But on air, man, I hate her.
Oh,
I don't like her heel persona. I don't like her voice.
I love her heel persona. I love the fact that you people don't like her voice. I love the fact that she gets to people just by saying one simple phrase. Again, it's not excuse me now. It's are you kidding me? I could dig that, man. That's she's a great heel, man.
So what do you think this is going to do for Nyla Rose?
Damn, that's another question. I think they're gearing up to give it back to her. I'm not 100% sure.
I think they are. Like again, she's I still like the idea of the unstoppable monster being champion. And look, Nyla can come out here and say that she came out here and had to use all of her toys to beat me. So now let's see if we get rid of the toys and see how she does. I think that's the route they should go with this.
You know what's interesting also is who
They
she
might. I feel it's too soon to take that belt off of Sheeta, who just won it a month ago, but it could happen.
I totally agree. But one little side note on this match is what's the girl's name? Kenzie?
Yes, it was Kenzie Page, and the other
Kenzie
girl was
Page.
Kyla Kin.
Kenzie Page was actually taught by Glenn Jacobs and Tom Pritchard. She's only 18. She's a baby.
She's 18?
18 years old.
Wow.
She's a baby. I've seen her on Dark, and I remember they mentioned it, and I'm sitting there last night, and I'm like, I know I saw her on Dark, and I know she was trained by somebody I remembered. And I was watching it, and somebody told me, no, she was trained by Kane. I was like, that's right. She was trained by Kane. I knew it. But it was interesting when I first saw her, because you would think that Kane might have just like pulled some strings to get her into WWE, but here she is in AEW, fresh-faced 18-year-old.
Brody Lee, Colt Cabana, and Stu Grayson of the Dark Order. We see once again Colt Cabana, injured Colt Cabana, with the supposedly the hematoma going on in his waist. Out there with Brody Lee and Dark Order's Stu Grayson versus the SCU. Colt Cabana gets the win, and once again for a second week in a row, we see. I was just about to say Luke Harper.
I was just about
to say Luke Harper this time, but we see Brody Lee with the clothesline doing the work and then encouraging Colt Cabana to get the win. I guess this is a boost of confidence as to why that he's allowing Colt Cabana to get the win every week, and maybe as an encouragement to join the Dark Order officially. What'd you guys think of this?
It was exactly what we thought it was going to be. It's just a shame that my SCU fandom has to take a hit to help get this storyline moving. Look, I'm going to look at it from both sides, the Dark Order side and the SCU side. First, the Dark Order. They're progressing this whole thing where, Colt's going to get a little brainwashed thinking that he's better off being with the Dark Order, and then eventually it's going to blow up once he makes a mistake, and they're all going to jump him, and that's what it's going to be. Look, it's good. You're keeping Colt involved in the mix in a situation where he doesn't really fit in that top echelon right now of the card, but they're keeping him in a feature spot against the Dark Order. And if you don't mind me saying about the SCU situation, I think eventually Christopher Daniels is going to transition to that backstage role. And he's not going to be on TV every single week. And I think the focus is going to be on Scorpio Sky. And Frankie Kazarian is going to be, I guess, a trainer or maybe go a singles run. But Sky is ready for a singles run. I think at this point in time, the SCU team is going to fade away. And it's a shame, too, because there's still more they could do. But this was just, they needed somebody to get them.
Or they stay together for a short run as a 3-man team in the rumored division that's supposed to come about. We don't know entirely for sure, but for the 3-man tag team division. So SCU could stay there together for that, maybe for a short while before they all go off their merry way and Scorpio Sky gets his run as a singles. We could go that route too. They have plenty of 3-man teams going on right now.
Yeah, and that's what I like. It reminds me, and I always tell Randy this. That's like one of the remnants of New Japan that I see in AEW is all the factions, And I'm cool with it. And what's really cool is when you see these factions fight each other, because it's inevitable. There's only X amount of people in the division. You're going to end up fighting a person in your stable at some point, and that adds another layer of intrigue to those matchups. It's happening it just happened in Japan the other day Sonata and Evil, both Los Ingobernables de Japón. Randy, laugh at me. Thank you. They fought each other. So, and it was intriguing because it's like, wow, these guys tag team all the time, and now here they are ripping each other apart. How are they ever going to coexist again? So, I think that would be cool to make these factions official. I mean, they did with the Death Triangle, So you have SCU, you have the Elite,
You're in the circle.
Yeah, you have the Inner Circle. You'll probably have the Four Horsemen soon enough. So we're getting there, man. So there's a lot of factions, and at some point, those factions are going to have to fight each other as well. So I'm looking forward to it. Overall, this match was exactly what I thought it was. Yeah, Stu Grayson is really good, man, and I was glad that he was in this match instead of Evil Uno. I was never really a huge fan of Evil Uno, but Stu Grayson has the skills, the athleticism, and it looks like the in-ring psychology to keep a match like this going. It all made sense, and I'm really intrigued by where this story is going with the Dark Order. Like Randy said, it could be where they beat down Colt Cabana, but I'd like to see it go another route. Maybe have him be a member for a little bit. Maybe somebody else in the like maybe Michael Nakazawa or somebody even higher up on the totem pole. Try to get Colt out of the cult. It's like, hey, they're brainwashing you. No, these are my brothers. You can't anything. You could go so many ways with this. So I'm really intrigued, and I can't wait to see it. I love Mr. Brody Lee in this role. He's doing great. He's a New Yorker. Well, he's from Buffalo, right?
Buffalo, yep.
Yeah,
he is a fellow New Yorker.
I love the fact that he can talk, and he's huge and menacing and physical. His discus lariat is just insane when you witness it. It's just like, yeah, it's great. So he gifted him another win. We'll see where this story's going.
Next week, we're going to do a little quick impromptu preview show really fast.
Okay.
But you guys didn't see that one coming. But next week, we have Cody Rhodes defending his TNT title. Who gets the next shot?
Sonny Kiss. Right?
Is that
Isn't
confirmed?
That's what I saw online, yeah.
No, that's official. That's official. Sonny Kiss next week, and I'm sitting there going, Get that business card ready, Sonny Kiss. Cody's going to give you the opportunity to show it to everybody.
Exactly, and I'm excited because, again, we just discussed how great Sonny Kiss is.
Yeah.
The dude can move.
Look, one of the reasons why in WWE we like the John Cena Open Challenge, you got to see guys wrestle him that you don't get to see him wrestle normally, and guys got established. Guys like Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn and Cesaro and Dean Ambrose at that time, Cody as Stardust. And they all got, and just to name a few, they all got to get to wrestle Cena at that point in time while he was doing this Open Challenge. I like that Cody's doing it. I'm glad that guys are going to be getting opportunities to work with Cody, who, in my eyes, has only really had one bad match since AEW has really started, and that was against JK.
Big hurt. Flares up all this asthma.
All right, I still don't see that match being as bad as everybody.
I think you should go back and watch it. I think you should go back and watch it, Wayne.
I would rather go back and watch that match than the match that Hager had against Jon Moxley weeks before that.
I'd rather watch that match with the TV turned off. That's how I'd like to watch that. So.
We have FTR next week versus the Lucha Bros.
Oh, yeah.
This is going to be probably the match of the night.
Yep.
Get your popcorn ready, ladies and gentlemen, because that's going to be fun to watch.
Do not go to the bathroom. Make sure you go either before or after this match.
Shut your devices off. Do not message me during this match.
And don't spoil it. If I can't watch it in time, if I'm dealing with a customer and I got to watch it later, don't go tell me exactly what happened, move, because I will watch it and I will enjoy it. So do not take the small joys away from me.
We have a comments from Albert Soto, who apparently for the Lucha Bros. What's up, Albert? How are you doing, man? Thank you so much for watching.
See, he watched it with me yesterday.
AEW. Listen, this is gonna be the best match this is one of the reasons why we're excited about FTR coming to AEW is being able to see him against teams like the Lucha Brothers. Like Em said earlier, so glad to see the Lucha Brothers back, and this is gonna be a lot of fun. I can't wait.
This is probably going to be FTR's best match since starting. Did you guys notice that FTR had AEW like lettering on their ring attire?
Yep, I did notice that.
Are you sure, Randy, that FTR is still on a handshake agreement with AEW?
As of 2 weeks ago, they probably signed a deal at some point, but when they first came in, they were on a handshake deal. So they were working. They were crossing the T's and dotting the I's. I don't know where we stand now, but
yeah, they're probably signed.
Yeah, they probably signed. When I saw the tights, I'm like, I think they're signed.
Yeah,
welcome home, baby. Welcome home.
Yeah, listen, this is where tag team wrestling lives.
Yeah, and
it gets better. Speaking of tag team wrestling, we're going to see the Elite versus the Jurassic Express.
Okay.
I didn't understand that one. No, I will not be okay with it because where the hell's Hangman? Where is Hangman? When I saw that graphic come up, I'm going, guys, come on.
Happy hour.
Yeah, exactly. Come on, man. Give me my Hangman turn already.
It's 2-for-1s at Chili's. He's going to be over there at the bar. We're good.
Listen, I think Randy is right in saying that there's certain things that they want to save for a live crowd, which I don't even know when's going to happen now at this point.
With everything spiking the way it is, give me my Hangman Page turn. It's not if you're waiting for people to be in the stands, it's not going to happen. I'm going to go out on a limb and say, yeah, next year. So
blood and guts in Newark. We'll be there.
Listen, exactly.
Hangman turn will Page.
I don't want to wait till February to see that. Even though I'll see it live.
Listen, that's going to make the turn all that much more special.
He'll turn in Newark and we'll be there. And Page will look at him and go, "That was for you." And
this was like, you. It's like, thank you, right there.
Yeah.
That little brown bald dude up there in the rafters. That one's for you.
I'm not too sure if they pull a turn.
Would have gone with bald guy, but all right, sure.
I'm not too sure if they pull a turn in Newark. They may even save it for a Chicago crowd. Save it for their home crowd, Jacksonville.
I think it's going to be in Newark because this is AEW territory. The fact that it's called Blood and Guts was a shot over the bow of WWE. That was Vince McMahon was on a call. I think it was an investor's call or something. I'm not sure how the corporate structure works, but he was on a call with his investors, and he said that the WWE product was not going to change because of AEW because they had matured away from all of that blood and guts. And the moment that he said that phrase, blood and guts, started finding its way into being the Elite Weekly. At certain points, they'd be having meetings, creative meetings, and on the blackboard would be blood and guts, really big. So this is something that they want to do in this area. Guaranteed it's going to be a Newark thing.
Yeah,
Randy, your thoughts?
So I think so. Look, you're going, and you have to say it, you're going into WWE territory in New York.
Yeah, this is the New York area.
Yeah, the New York metropolitan area. They want to make a splash. They want to go big. I think Blood and Guts, two ring steel cage match. No better place to do it, and no better place to make a big impact by having one of your top young stars make the heel turn to take him to the next level. But not only that, if you look at the babyface roster compared to the heel roster, Paige has pretty much fought all the heels at this point. So it's better off it's better him to make the turn and then go from there. But one question I have to ask with the Lucha Brothers returning back, where is Pac? Where is Pac?
Pac stuck in his country.
Yeah, I was about to say that. You know exactly where Pac is. He is in the UK, and he's probably like, I'm a lot safer here than I am in the US. So I am going to stay here until things get better over there. And I can't blame him.
Not explain that.
Unlike Tessa Blanchard, Pac will be recording some interviews.
Yeah,
and will
exactly. I mean, technically she had the same idea. I believe Mexico is a little better off than us at the moment. I'm not 100% sure on it. Maybe it's underreported, but she feels it's better. I don't know. I'm not there.
Then the other headlining match that we got is for the AEW Championship match. Jon Moxley versus Brian Cage for the AEW title. This is a match I'm looking forward to, but as Randy alluded to before, that FTW title given by Taz to Brian Cage could be a hint to us wrestling fans that quite possibly Jon Moxley is walking out with the AEW title retaining.
Yeah, he's still going to take a good old-fashioned passionate ass beating, and I'm going to love every minute of it. That's one thing about Moxley.
Brian Cage is going to look very good in this match.
Oh yeah, even in a losing effort, he's going to destroy Moxley. He's going to hurt him, and that's the thing that I respect a lot about Moxley is he's willing to take the pain for his craft, and he's going to take a lot of pain next week. I like Moxley, but
Jon Moxley will win by the skin of his teeth.
Listen, Cage scares me, all right? And I don't say that. I'm a Spanish man. I have the bravado and the machismo. That dude is built like a monster. I could know all the kung fu, and I can have a gun. I'm still not going to come up to him and be like, yo, I'm going to slap your girl in the butt. Like he would destroy me. I think he would destroy me by looking at me. I don't think that I'd be able to stand a shot at even looking at him. Like I would just melt. So I think that is going to be very, very violent, and that's what I'm hoping for. And knowing Moxley and knowing what Moxley wanted to do with Brock in WWE, he was like, "Hey, Brock, just kill me, destroy me. Let's have a match." I think he's going to be able to do it here. And we're all going to be in for a treat next week.
It should be a fun match. Like we said, I feel with the FTW title now in the hands of Brian Cage, Mox will come out on top. But Taz has done a very, very good job of talking you into the arena or talking you to the TV to make you want to watch this one.
Yeah, he's intimidating, man. He's talked us not only into it, but he's also talked us because we've only seen Cage in one high-profile match, right? We saw him at the ladder match. But, dude, we all look at Cage like he's gonna destroy him. He's gonna break him apart, and half of that is because the dude is chiseled like a Greek god, and the other half was because Taz is right next to him, talking us into thinking that. So
What's even crazier is how they keep taking my body and superimposing his face on it.
Yeah, is that what happened? Yeah, I wondered why he looked familiar.
Yeah,
I was looking at that. That's Randy's body. Oh shit,
It's Randy Cage.
Yeah, exactly.
Main events, we have Orange Cassidy versus Chris Jericho. That was our main event last night that we had. Great match. Great back and forth match. Couple spots that happened here. Orange Cassidy got blinded by orange juice by Santana and Ortiz.
My boy.
Good storytelling there. Good storytelling there with the orange juice. Being that Orange Cassidy, that's his name. Orange, get it? Anyhow, Jericho hits the code breaker. Orange kicks out. Then the best friends come out to Orange's aid. Then we see brawls going on the outside, and then the match is focused back in on continuing their one-on-one match. Chris Jericho hitting Orange Cassidy with some finisher moves. Orange Cassidy kicking out. We had a really, really great back and forth match with these guys. And Chris Jericho put on a tweet the other day that this was one of his best matches in AEW, which I believe. I think this is my favorite match that I've seen out of him so far. Randy, what did you guys think?
I loved it. I said to M after the show, I'm like, that's how you do a main event. And we talk about Jericho being able to reinvent himself and being able to take a character because, let's call it what it is. Orange Cassidy is a character that this guy, and he plays it so well to the point where, you want to see him. Like when he came out before the pandemic and Cassidy came out, the crowd would go crazy. For the 5 minutes he was out at ringside, the fans would just go nuts. And to show that he can do it in the ring against Pac, against Jericho, like he may not have the best record in AEW, but he's probably the most over character. He's their number one merchandise seller, or if not number one of the top ones. Look, they have gold with him, and they have to do their best to take advantage of him but not by changing him. They can't change how great he was. He's a great addition to the Best Friends, and eventually they're gonna have to go to the origin of that as well. But you know what? I loved it. I there's no hate to it whatsoever. I really enjoyed the match, except for M throwing orange juice at Cassidy. I just didn't think that was appropriate. But still, I actually loved the match.
Listen, first of all, it wasn't M that threw it. It was M's people that did it. All right. That's one. Now, the match itself was incredible, man. And Jericho's right. He tweeted it out the other day, and he said, "This is one of my best matches," like you said. And hell yeah, it is. The only thing that I took out of this that was negative was it was hard to keep up with it with the commercial breaks. The commercial breaks hurt the flow a little bit, and this would have been, I wouldn't say 10 times better. I'd say at least 5 times better if it was actually on a pay-per-view. This was a pay-per-view caliber match.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, this was definitely not something that they phoned in or thought of a week prior. This was put together perfectly, and they did a hell of a job presenting it. Cassidy did a hell of a job bringing the intensity that we always knew was underneath that facade of the sloth. And I've been telling Randy for the longest, I'm like, yo, he can wrestle, man. He can go in the ring. You gotta watch. Every so often he brings it out. He's not gonna bring it out often. He's gonna be the lazy character. But when he gets into that, come on, Randy. How many times I tell you, yo, he jumped out the ring with his hands in his pocket. You make fun of me all the time about it. That the athleticism is there, and he's doing something like Jericho always says. Brian Pillman always told him, and it's like you got to do something that no one's ever seen. And I can honestly say I've never seen anything like the Orange Cassidy character.
Randy's on the Orange Cassidy bandwagon now too.
Oh, he loves them, yeah. But you know what? I'll be honest with you. I didn't want to see him win. And I was so happy when that Judas effect hit.
Can I also be 100% honest too? This match went against NXT's big championship match, and Chris Jericho and Tony Khan were real quick to point out the ratings. Yeah, the Bash won overall, but if you look at the demographics, AEW finished 7th in the ratings last night. 7th. NXT finished 24th. Okay, but the one demographic that they lost one demographic thing, which in a big spread, and that ends up them losing the rating, which doesn't make any sense to me. And that's why when Tony Khan and Chris Jericho are pointing out, hey, we really did win the ratings war, because if you look at the main demographics, which is the 18 through 34, that's the main demographic. They killed NXT, and Jericho has a hand in that because he's able to keep reinventing himself and help being a major part of this show. Orange Cassidy, a major part of this show. Look, I was able to watch that Keith Lee Adam Cole match. I'm not going to tell you it was a bad match. They did a great job. NXT always does do a great job, much better than the main rosters. But at the same time, look, AEW catches your attention, and guys like Chris Jericho, Pac, Moxley, the guys who've had experience over at WWE coming in, Dustin Rhodes, Mr. Brody Lee, every single guy who's coming from WWE, FTR, all contributing in a major factor on the AEW programming, where in WWE you have guys you don't see for 3 to 4 months, and this was with the crowd, 3 to 4 months at a time. So look, the ratings to me don't mean anything that WWE NXT beat AEW last night, because the main demographics, they won, and Jericho is the first one to point it out. That match last night was awesome. I don't care what any rating says. That was the match of the night.
Oh, that was a great match of the night for sure. I was a little personally pissed off because AEW had a little bit of an overrun by a minute or so, and my DVR cut off the last 2 minutes of the match. I'm like, you gotta be freaking kidding me! Like,
yeah, I remember he was texting
really happening right now. So it's like, you know what? And I couldn't even pull it up on the TNT app to go back and watch it because they only do that sort of thing live.
Yeah, and they have
So
to.
they don't re-put it back on until the next day. So actually, I got done watching that match about an hour or so ago, not long before I hopped on, and saw the ending with Chris Jericho hitting the Judas Effect on Orange Cassidy for the 1-2-3. But a great match, and the commentators were putting it over too. But so that basically wraps up our talk for AEW Fighter Fest. Next week we get Fight for the Falling, so we're gonna have another great week next week. I cannot wait. But moving on, we are gonna introduce a new segment tonight. We're gonna do 2 segments tonight. The first one will be a little quick, but our first segment is gonna be called Highs and Lows. So starting with you, Randy, what are your highs and lows of the past week in wrestling?
Highs and lows. I still think the 8-man match with FTR, Young Bucks, Butcher and the Blade, and Lucha Brothers, that's definitely a high. I think the tag team title match is a high. Look, I'm not saying anything negative about NXT or Monday, or the WWE for what they do. I think that Friday Night SmackDown and Monday Night Raw, to me, is just still unwatchable. I'll put it on for like maybe a half hour, and I can't keep it on. So there's my low right there, man. If you can't catch my attention as a longtime wrestling fan, after of being on TV for how many years? For 27 years, and you still can't keep me interested in your product, I'm sorry, man, that's a low. So you got the tag team division, AEW is a high, and of course Orange Cassidy and Jericho, that's a high. The low is just Monday Night Raw not being able to keep me intrigued.
You know what I see as a low? I see a multi-billion-dollar company who's been around for more than 30 years, counter-programming a company who debuted last year. I think that is the lowest we can go. The fact that Great American Bash was put together within seconds speaks volumes of how WWE feels about this. And I hate to say it, but the people watching it, as you saw, AEW won 18-35. It's all the guys that love wrestling, that love to be entertained, that love the athleticism, that love the good storytelling. They're watching it. Everybody else is watching the other stuff because, hey, it's WWE, it's a name, that's what they grew up on, and that's all they know. I think I've had this discussion with Randy so many times about opening up your horizons to other wrestling, and I think if other wrestling fans would do that, if they would start looking at everything a little more critically and realizing that there's a lot of good stuff you could be watching and probably deserve to be watching instead of really just being shoveled garbage constantly like that. And that's one of the things that I think the WWE has gone into, especially now that they're this huge corporation. It's not what it used to be back in the 90s. It feels more corporate. It feels more haphazard. If you're writing and rewriting a script minutes before it airs, it doesn't scream professionalism to me. And if you treat your employees like garbage, if you expose them to COVID for the hell of it, I think that's the real low. And I think that not only does the product suffer, I think us as fans suffer. But if you like NXT, like that's your thing, and that's cool. But that's my opinion, and I think the whole counter programming thing was just low, in my opinion. Now the high was that we got an actual pay-per-view quality. We got 2 nights of pay-per-view quality matches, and a show that actually took itself seriously, and it wasn't hampered by a lot of rewrites and second guessing. So I'm happy with the AEW wrestling product. And if you want to go further, we Wayne, I love New Japan. They're in the midst of their New Japan Cup. These are the first matches that are live. for quite some time in Japan. I think they suspended live events in New Japan at the end of February. And this tournament was supposed to take place in March, and we're finally getting it. And like I said, we saw some matches where interfaction meetings were happening, and they were pretty intense. And we're almost at the finals, man. And I think the finals are on the 11th, and that's this week, right? This Saturday.
Yeah, that's 2 days from now.
Yeah, so we got one the finals on the 11th, and then whoever wins fights the double champion on the 12th, and that gets me back to the current double champion in NXT. I mean, I kind of already saw that in January when New Japan did their, let's crown a double champion. Why am I seeing it now here a couple of months later? I feel like, and I hate to be the WWE basher, but it's like I see all these other ideas everywhere else, and then a couple of minutes later, I see them in WWE, whether it's Fyterfest happening. Oh, that Great American Bash, it'll happen at the same time. Hey, in Japan, we have a double champion. Oh, you know what's a great idea? Let's have a double champion. It's recycled stuff. And you know what? Wrestling is always recycled stuff, but goddamn, like, it's normally recycled from years ago, not weeks or months ago. And it's kind of tiring.
You covered quite a bit of my lows. I was just going to point out the COVID situation.
I went out and got a sandwich during that.
Raw has still been okay. There are people shining in the midst of the darkness, such as Sasha and Bailey, really hitting their stride. Drew McIntyre is looking great. There's some good things going on the Monday night show. And Heel M, Friday night, not so much. Nothing really grabbing me there. So there's some lows there as well. NXT is still good. I mean, they slapped that Great American Bash card together last minute to counter AEW's Fyterfest. Triple H says that it was the plan all along to have the Great American Bash there as a little bit of an in-between pay-per-view like feel in between the In Your House takeover that they just did, which was awesome. And then the takeover that they're doing in SummerSlam. So Triple H says it wasn't a counter, but every sign points to it that it was a counter. And it just NXT is good. It's very good. Their shows are great. I have no problem with it, but they did not deliver compared to what AEW has been able to do the past couple of weeks. This was basically AEW's pay-per-view, and I feel that NXT didn't really treat it like a pay-per-view, although there were good shows. There were some good moments. The highs, hey, listen, all the wrestling that we got in the past couple of weeks between Great American Bash and NXT, and then last week's part one of Great American Bash and Fyterfest. Listen, it's given us wrestling fans a lot to talk about, and you know what? Competition is always good for wrestling,
and we wouldn't have what we're doing right now if we didn't have competition. Because I don't think I'd be able to stomach talking about WWE. I really wouldn't. So thank God for Wednesdays, and we can sit here and have discussions and about wrestling, and even veer off. I'm going to shoot you one, Randy.
So,
we're going to veer off topic, and normally we still talk about everything anyway.
So what you're saying is, you will not be visiting the Deep Six podcast for a Monday Night Raw review.
Probably not anytime soon. At least not kicking and screaming. I'll probably be there complaining the whole time.
Hey, listen, yeah, I was just gonna say I don't think M's gonna be a guest on a Monday night show anytime soon.
I just picture him popping up in the studio going, "I'm sorry, I thought it was Wednesday. I'll see you guys on Wednesday night. Bye."
I'll make a cameo like that.
And it's just like a little head just popping up going, I'm sorry, wrong day.
I am seriously gonna send you an invite one of these Mondays just for you to do that, to pop in and out, and then that'd be great. Oh man,
I think that's a plan.
It's like a hostile takeover. We're taking over,
and then you realize where you are, and you don't really want to take it over, and you're like, My fault. You guys can have this.
No. Wait. So Wayne will be like, "So M, did you see Raw?" Click.
Black screen. There's like silence. Yeah, I can see that happening.
So everybody, that is our highs and lows for this week. Listen, let's see what next week brings. We're gonna have a pay-per-view like feel once again to AEW's Dynamite called Fight for the Fallen, as we've talked about in nauseum for the past hour. Oh, and not to mention, speaking of counter booking, there's also a great NXT women's title match that will be very good next week. So listen, there's a great night of wrestling coming next week, and we'll have some more highs and lows to talk about. Moving on, one last segment. This is a brand new segment that we're introducing. Man, I wish I had music to introduce these segments, but maybe we will. Eventually, we will get there. But this segment is new, not brand new. I'm sorry, but it's new. We did this last week. It is called What If. Okay, so today's What If topic, we'll talk about this for a few minutes before we wrap up the show, is the topic that we're going to cover is what if Bret Hart were to leave the WWE in 1996 after WrestleMania, and what if he never stayed and went to WCW right away? So what we can cover here is the booking ramifications. Do certain people get over more? How does this affect WCW? How does it affect NWO booking? So what if Bret Hart signs with WCW a year earlier in 96?
It's funny. We talk about it. We were talking about it before we went on the air. If you talk to Eric Bischoff and you listen to 83 Weeks and you read Bret Hart's book, there's a conflicting story on whether there was a contract even offered to him in 1996. But whether there was a contract or not offered to him, Bret made it seem like there was a contract offered to him, and he bought it to Vince, and Vince gave him a 10-year deal for the same amount of money, which ended up taxing the company the following year because, and you know this too, back from that point, and Wayne, that 1997 WCW had Vince by the you-know-what, and it was scary times that they were having a hard time affording payroll. They were going to downsize, and Bret's salary was something that was a hindrance to what they were doing, and they felt they weren't getting a full return. You know, a lot of people asked Eric Bischoff, why didn't you do the Canadian, the Canada versus USA angle? Well, it wasn't drawing a lot in WWE, so why would he take the same concept and put it in WCW? Bret Hart, you were not getting the financial payback from giving Bret Hart a huge contract like that 10-year contract. What you did from a booking standpoint is, hey, look, if he would have went to WCW, he could have been the third man in the NWO, and it could have been a very different tale of the tape for what they were going to do, because you could have kept Hogan on the WCW side, and Bret Hart would have been on the same side as Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, which would have made sense at that point. But this was also
Absolutely.
This was not the first time Bret Hart ever cried wolf about going to WCW. He did it in 92, and they had to pull the Intercontinental Championship off him right in the beginning of the year. So him flirting with WCW to get himself a better deal with WWE at the time is not a stupid thing at all. It's actually very, very smart. But if he would have gone to WCW, my initial thing was you would have had the rise of Stone Cold Steve Austin, because right after WrestleMania, Steve Austin was calling out Bret Hart throughout the summer and throughout the fall, which led to their big match at Survivor Series, which
I was there for.
Yep, which made Austin a total stalker until he fought Bret at WrestleMania, and they had the double turn.
Those vignettes were great.
Oh my God. And him, and right after that, him, everywhere Bret Hart went, Austin was jumping him. He was getting ready to fight Sid for the championship after he won the belt. Austin's jumping him in the locker room. Austin's jumping into the ring with a chair, hits him over the head with a chair. All these different things. Austin was made by Bret Hart during that time. If Bret Hart's not there, I don't think Austin has the same success he had to help jumpstart him into the monster babyface we all ended up knowing he became.
See, I have to disagree. Well, that and that's where we
I don't know. Randy made a very good point.
He did make a good point, but I think we would have had Austin because let's face it, Austin was born when he said those beautiful words. Austin 360 just said, "I'll just beat your ass." Right? All right. Can we agree? We all remember that because I remember it like it was yesterday. That's how iconic it was. So I think that we would have had a different Austin. We wouldn't have had to face Austin as fast as we did because honestly, Austin was there, man. Austin was already on the scene. He won King of the Ring. He was already going for. He was already being a badass. So would we have had Austin as we knew him later on to be the I don't know, de facto good guy, or he wasn't even a good guy. He was more like a shade of gray the whole time anyway, that people just gravitated to. I don't think we would have had that, but we would have had Stone Cold Steve Austin, and I think he still would have been a massive star. I don't know exactly how massive, but the only thing that would have gotten taken away was that whole Austin and Brett thing. Now, Brett being in WCW, I totally agree with. He could have joined the NWO, which would have made total sense, and that would have been an interesting NWO because at the time, I wasn't a huge fan of NWO or WCW. The only time I would really tune in was to watch the cruiserweights because I'm a wrestling guy. So I was sitting there watching Jericho and Benoit and Mysterio. I was never a Mysterio fan, which is weird because he's really good. But he was really like pipsqueakish, and there was this one commercial that would always come on, and he'd come in, and he's like, WCW, where the big boys play. And I'm like, dude, you're like tiny. Like, you can't say that. But I digress because I'm getting off topic again. But it was true. Like, it would just annoy me. And so I would watch WCW for that. So
I love you for that. I love you for that.
I'm gonna get a lot of hate from all the Mysterio fans.
I mean, listen,
where the big boys play.
Yeah,
I always hated that. WCW, and where the big boys play, they're always referring to the old men that were washed up and already did their thing in WWE. But moving on, Bret Hart got stale rather quickly in WCW. It wasn't booked right from the get-go.
Terrible.
No momentum whatsoever. I don't even think he wanted to be in that match with Bill Goldberg. But so he got ruins once he got to WCW. Not to mention that WCW was still a little hot at the time when Owen Hart passed away. So that definitely had to have done something to Bret Hart as far as affecting his work rate in the ring. And yeah, like you said, Randy, Stone Cold Steve Austin quite possibly doesn't get made right away. How Stone Cold Steve Austin gets made later on, I'm not really entirely sure, but Bret Hart played a huge factor in building up Stone Cold in 1997.
And can I also add one other thing to that too? Vince McMahon, like I watched the Broken Skull sessions with Steve Austin interviewing the legends of WWE, and he had Bret Hart on, and they were talking about it, and they said that Vince told Steve and even told Bret that he didn't have a lot of plans for Steve, and Bret was one of the reasons why Steve ended up getting a job with WWE at that time. And look, Steve Austin and Bret Hart, if you look at that WrestleMania match to this day, I know if you ask M and it's such a good argument. What's the greatest WrestleMania match of all time? And you can say The Undertaker and Shawn, but you have to make the argument for Austin and Bret WrestleMania 13 as the greatest WrestleMania match of all time.
Dude, the image of him bleeding and passing out will be seared into so many minds and memories for years to come. I mean, that's what you think of when you think of that WrestleMania.
Oh yeah.
What do you remember? And I know it, but do you remember the title match at all of that year?
No.
That was Undertaker versus Psycho Sid. Main event.
Exactly. But you watch it every year, so you don't count, Wayne. I'm talking to everybody else.
And you know what's pretty cool? You know, I also what I often forget about, that Bret Hart doesn't run in later on that night to interfere
solidify the heel turn.
Cycle Sid, to solidify the turn.
Yeah, exactly.
But you know what? You know what the amazing thing was, though? If WWE would have, looking back, armchair quarterback and everything, if they were smart, they would have gave Brett the belt and had that Brett Austin match as the championship match. That would have been amazing if that would have been the heavyweight championship match. And
the seeds were planted.
They have from November to March or April to get that done.
Stone Cold was hot. And listen, that was a hot build going into Survivor Series. And that match between Stone Cold Bret Hart was a great match. I was loving every bit of it.
It was supposed. Listen, we all know that it was supposed to be Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels 2 at WrestleMania 13, and between losing his smile and all these.
And listen, he hurt his knee, all right.
That's also Wayne. If it is okay, can I give a quick plug? On my show today, I had Eric Hausney. He is the executive producer and the founder and the creator of Dark Side of the Ring. We had him on today, and we discussed everything about the show. We included the Montreal Screwjob with Bret Hart. We discussed Owen Hart, and we discussed the Chris Benoit episode. We discussed pretty much the entire series, including ideas for the future of season 3. And listen, if you're a wrestling fan, not that we encourage the negative part of the business, but he really broke down in this series. I know Em enjoyed the series greatly, and you watch everything about Dark Side of the Ring. You want to talk about compelling television. It's exactly what it is. And having the opportunity to sit down for about an hour and talk with the creator of it was certainly an honor for me today. So if you have the opportunity as of tomorrow, it'll be up on the website. It's on YouTube right now. Go to backsportspage.com. Check it out. Off Topic with me as your host. And I had, his name is Evan Hausney. Excellent dude. Really broke down some of the episodes, and we discussed a couple of things, including the Macho Man Randy Savage on why he was never back in the WWE.
Yeah, it's a good listen, and you guys really should go watch it. I recommend it. I love when Randy interviews these people. What was the guy's name that you interviewed a couple of weeks ago? I really enjoyed it.
I had Keith Elliott Greenberg, who was a WWE magazine writer from 1987 to 2007, and also worked independently for that.
Exactly. But you know what I really enjoyed about that one is that it wasn't 100% about WWE.
No, it was
really
independent.
touched on so much
everything.
Independent wrestling and wrestling in general. He was talking to New Japan, Ring of Honor, TNA, Impact. He really went in depth, and Randy's wrestling stuff is good. You guys should listen.
And not only that, but we also have some really good wrestling guests, including Wayne's favorite WWE announcer, Jonathan Coachman, will go one-on-one with me in the next 2 weeks.
Interesting.
Get ready, Wayne. The coach.
And I heard one rumor that you might be interviewing one of the guys that I like from New Japan.
Working on. I think it's fair for me to book them and do the proper research. Or M just joins the show. I think we should petition now in a public forum for M to help me with that interview.
I don't know. Well, I just want to see it. So I got my fingers crossed that you get that guest.
You will not cave to public pressure.
Well, we pretty much covered every point that there was to make about what if Bret Hart were to join WCW a year earlier. So that pretty much just wraps up our show. Those who are watching, thank you so much for hopping on tonight. And those who are about to listen, we thank you always. Our faithful listeners from London, Ireland, Germany. We've had listeners from Bangladesh and Pakistan, all over the world, hopping on and being a part of the Deep Six family. We thank you guys so much.
We're multicultural.
Yes, we are available on all listening platforms Google, Spotify, and iTunes. Also, we'd like to thank Back Sports Page for putting our YouTube content, so you can go on that website to check out our YouTube if you can't find us in the search. Randy, thank you so much for hopping on tonight. It's a lot of awesome content that we talked about this week.
Yeah, dude. I always have a great time with you guys, and I always love talking wrestling. I mean, and not that I'm trying to do a shameless plug, but every time someone comes to Level 1 Games, which is my store, we always talk wrestling, and I'm always happy to have that discussion with people as well. So I love talking to you guys. It's one of my favorite parts of the week.
Best part about it is we get to hang here for about an hour and just BS and have some fun, and it's a good time. And we thank everybody for tuning in, listening, and watching us, whether we're live or on demand. Thank you. And I know Wayne has worked really hard to put all this together, and M does a great job. Everything with Level 1 Games. My crew does a half decent job with Back Sports Page. I'm being modest right now, as far as my crew. We're doing the best we can, and thank you guys. We're not here unless you're here watching us. So.
On that note, thank you guys for watching and listening. We will be back next after Raw next Monday, and then after Dynamite. Looks like the trend is on Thursday. We've been talking about, we will be talking about Fight for the Fallen, and then a couple days after that, we have the WWE Extreme Rules horror show prediction and post show to wrap up next week's week 12. Oh my goodness, that is going to be an interesting low when we get there. But anyway, guys, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss out on any of that content, and we will see all of you on Monday night after Raw. Have a good night.